Hello everybody, it's beautiful to be back today. My name is Claire and I haven't been here for a little while on YouTube. I've taken a break. I've been away on a journey, on a pilgrimage for a few months, but I have returned now and I'm looking forward to putting together some videos for you over the next few weeks. Today's video is going to be about the equinox that is coming up this week, Saturday, 23rd of September. It happens at 10 to 9 South African time and 10 to 8 in the UK in the morning. And so what I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about what the equinox is, how this may be affecting us, and I'm also going to do a card reading. I'm going to pull a few cards for all those watching this video to guide you in what you are being called into right now to manifest or to experience at this time of the equinox. Okay, so firstly, what is an equinox? An equinox is the time of the year where the sun is above the equator and it forms equal daylight hours and nighttime hours. So this happens across the whole globe. It doesn't matter where we are based in the world. Everybody is going to be experiencing the same number of hours during the day as to the night. So it's a time of equilibrium, which is opposite to a solstice, which happens in the middle of summer and the middle of winter, where we will either have the longest day or the longest night. This is the equal point between the seasons. So a real time of equality, of coming together in polar opposites at the same amount of energy. And in order to understand ourselves, we must understand that we are nature. This human body that we reside in is nature. All of nature mirrors each other. So we are mirroring what is going on in the universe. And so if what is going on, and we're coming up to now, is this moment where these two polarities meet in equal measurement, then that is happening within our internal universe too. So what does that mean for us individually? It means that the two aspects, the two polarities that we hold within our being, the positive and the negative polarities, are also coming to that still point within our being. So we're made up of masculine and feminine energies within our being. Some of us are men, male, some of us are female, in the way that our physical body has taken on that form. However, energetically, we still carry both those opposing forces of the negative and the positive. And so in order to understand how to work with this time, we need to understand that we are nature, but we also need to understand what is the masculine and what is the feminine, what is the consciousness of that, and what is the unconscious aspect of that. So we might be operating from the level of the unconscious to do with the masculine or the feminine. And what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to bring them up into consciousness at equal measurements to each other. So I'll give you an example of something that happened to me recently. Just an example around nature and around where these polarities meet. So I live in Cape Town in South Africa, and I recently went over to the Northern Hemisphere for 3 months to live and to work. And I left here in Cape Town on the 20th of June, arriving in London on the 21st of June, which was going from midwinter here into midsummer there. So it was the solstice, the longest nighttime in Cape Town. I was going to the longest daytime in London. And what happened was I went from the one polarity of the deep feminine, the shadow, the winter, into the height of the masculine, the light, and the summer. And it was such a shock to my system that it took me about 10 days to 2 weeks to actually recover from this intense meeting of masculine and feminine energies, going from the one extreme to the other. And because I went through that, what had happened was, by meeting this masculine energy in such full force, it caused my feminine energy to become even larger, so that she could be the container, the chalice, the one that can receive the masculine into her in a way that didn't overwhelm her. And so I needed the force of that masculine to be projected towards me in order for me to magnify my feminine energy. And then I went on a journey, a very deep journey, for 3 months around the masculine and the feminine, and around merging them and marrying them so that they are expressed in me and felt and experienced in me in equal measure. But I had to go through that extreme experience of the polar opposites so that I could learn how to hold and be a container for this masculine energy. So I hope that makes sense. That's just an example of how our internal reality reflects our external, and vice versa. But most of us don't need to go through such extremes in order for the two aspects to come together. What we can do, though, is be more mindful of the time of the year when the seasons are experiencing that, and looking at how we can bring more of that equality into our everyday life. So it's about understanding the masculine and the feminine and what those qualities are, unconscious and the conscious. So the conscious aspect of the masculine is, he's light, he is a leader, he's a protector, he takes action, he has good boundaries, he is sharp and focused thought, he's instinctual, and he will take action on the intuition that the feminine feels. So the feminine, the conscious feminine, she's very intuitive. She is a nurturer. She's the one that can receive. She's the one that is like that chalice, like that container. She's earth, she's water, she's connected to the earth. She's connected to nature. She's connected to the community. Okay. She would be the winter, the shadow, death, darkness. Okay. He would be light, summer, the sun. vibrant. When these two aspects come together, we then are in our heart, fully, totally in our heart. Because the heart is the bridge, it's the equal point between the lower aspects of the self, the feminine, the underground, and the higher aspects of the self, the masculine, the conscious. It's also, the heart is also the bridge between the outer and the inner. So it forms this, like the center of the cross. This is where the heart is. And when these two equal parts come together in equal measurement, then we return to the heart. And when we return to the heart fully and totally, we're returning to the truth of what we are, which is actually not either of those polarities. It goes even way beyond that, to the mystery, to creation. But we need the two polarities in order to bring friction to each other, because the friction, the spark, causes birth. It creates. It manifests. It brings forth into the world. And this, when we're in this physical world, when we're in this human body, this is what we're constantly learning from, are these two polarities, and how to not become too one-sided, but to stand in the middle of those two and to hold both of those so that they can experience this life, which is a mystery, this life of creation through the container of this physical body, through the container of this physical body. So we become this custodian, if you want to call it that, of these two aspects that give birth. But before the two aspects, even beyond, way beyond, behind us, it's all one, it's all part of the mystery, and there is no separation. And this is what we're here to master, I believe, is oneness, it's wholeness. And there's this sweet spot in between the two. When I was in England, I went to Glastonbury, and I didn't really know what this pilgrimage was about. I was called, I just knew I had to go to England, and I had work to do to move to the next version of myself. I'll share a lot about the pilgrimage, but I'll just share, at another time I'll share a lot about the pilgrimage, but what I'll share here in connection with what it is we're talking about is that I was then called to Glastonbury. I got the strong intuition I had to go. And by the way, when the masculine and the feminine work beautifully together, the masculine will listen to the intuition of the feminine and he'll take action. Okay, it's no point just being deeply feminine and intuitive without having the masculine, the consciousness of the masculine to go, right, I hear you, and now I'm going to take you here, or I'm going to implement this project. Anyway, so what happened was I then knew I had to go to Glastonbury, and I didn't know why, and followed all these calls, had all these dreams, had all these insights and intuitions, met people along the way, really listened to what people were saying and looked out for the symbols that were shown to me, and eventually landed up at a place where the masculine and the feminine ley lines, so the ley lines are like energy, not rivers of energy, I don't want to say rivers because it's not water, but like lines of energy that move beneath the earth's surface. And these energy lines, where the masculine and the feminine energy lines were moving through this earth, there was a point in Glastonbury where they actually crossed over, which was where the sweet spot is of the masculine and the feminine. And if you go to that spot, then you can experience this meeting within yourself and sit in the beauty of that, in the nectar of that. And this is called the Vesica Pisces. This is the name of this is the Vesica Pisces, where the two meet. I've actually got a bottle here that I bought from this place, the Chalice Well, and you can see the symbol. It's two circles overlapping, and in the middle, those two circles are the masculine and the feminine, and then in the middle is where the sweet spot is, where they meet. And that's the heart. And that's the original mystery. That's the original mystery. And so I was in Glastonbury and I had this whole experience, and I felt like I'd already had about 2.5 months prior to that of this pilgrimage of going through many, many trials and tribulations, of which I won't go into now. But it felt like it culminated at this point in Glastonbury, where I sat there and I realized that this is what the journey had been about for me. This is what the journey had been about for me. And then I realized it's not just the journey. It wasn't just the journey for me and what it's been about for me then on that 3-month pilgrimage, but this is the whole journey of life. We are here to journey back. It feels like we've been flung out of home into this playground, this obstacle course, where there are symbols and signs and vehicles of people telling us what to do and showing us where to go, and obstacles and tricksters. But we constantly then are having to refine, and come back into the heart, come back to the truth of who we are. And when we sit in that place of the truth of who we are, we know what our purpose is. We know why we're here. We know what we are here to experience. And this doesn't have to be this massive thing where we've got to stand on a stage and sing or give messages to the world. Your reason for being here will be your own personal reason, whatever that is. What are you here to do? And this feels like this is the message. Okay, we're getting to the message of what this equinox is about. What are you being called into? What part of you are you hiding? What part of you is overpowering? So these are the two shadow aspects of the masculine and the feminine. So we spoke of all the unconscious aspects. We spoke about the conscious earlier on. The unconscious, the feminine, the intuitive feminine, who's a dreamer. She's a dreamer and she can be in that stillness and in that darkness. She's not afraid of death. Okay. When you drop into the unconscious of the feminine, you're hiding, you're keeping yourself small, you're so under the covers and you're so in the dark that's where you keep yourself. on the other side of the spectrum, this unconscious masculine wants to overpower others because he feels insecure, because he's not in his power. So he feels like he needs to be the loudest voice or tell everybody that he has done better than them, or he has more experience than them, or he becomes jealous of other people and wants to judge other people, criticize other people, and overpower them. Both these need to be let go of before you can move forward into the wholeness of what you are here to birth into the world. Both of these need to be let go of before you can come into your wholeness and birth what it is you're here to birth into the world. What are you hiding from? Who are you hiding from? What part of you do you not want to show the world? The shame. This is the unconscious feminine, the shame. The shame. The unconscious masculine, the one that doesn't trust. The one that doesn't trust. The one that bulldozes over others. He doesn't listen. He won't listen to the feminine. Where does this show up in your life, in your relationships, in your friendships? Because it will be mirroring your internal landscape too. Where are your friendships or relationships out of balance? So these are questions that you can reflect on. Is what part of me feels like it's the one in control? Or do you feel that you're totally balanced? The masculine and the feminine. Okay. You are being called to birth something into the world. This is what this video is about. This birthing, when the sperm and the egg come together in equal proportions, they give birth to creation. The feminine is the container for creation to grow her womb, okay? So they come together and they create and they give birth. This is the perfect manifestation of the masculine and the feminine. You are being called to give birth to something in the world. What is that? You know that. You know what that is. But you need to allow yourself to do it. You need to give yourself permission to do it. You need to give yourself permission to take up space in the world. You need to give yourself permission to not bulldoze over other people or try to overpower them, but to own your voice and to own your truth, because there is only one of you. And what you are going to say and how you are going to say it and how you're going to do it is going to be completely different to how somebody else does it. The world needs your gift. The world needs your medicine. The world needs you and your heart. There's no time to waste. There's no time to waste. There's no time to waste. You're being called. All those who are watching this video are being called. This is a very strong message coming through here right now. You're being called. Step into your arena. Step into your arena. There's nothing you need to do in order to step into the arena. You just need to make that choice. To be totally and wholly who you are. Take off the mask. Take off any aspect of yourself that you have wrapped around you in order to fit into the world. The world doesn't need you to fit into it. The world does not need you to fit into it. The world does not need you to fit into it. The world needs you to be you. To be you. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? What brings you joy? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? The lower masculine, the unconscious masculine, his head is spinning and his thoughts are confusing. He must be silenced, that lower unconscious masculine. You need to connect with the magician, masculine. The one who has sharp focus, direction. He doesn't waste time. He knows exactly what he wants and he knows how to get there. And he projects his arrow out into the world and he moves towards that. He does not doubt. He does not try to overpower. And then he needs his counterpart, and whatever that counterpart is for you, the mystic, the mother, the nurturer, the high priestess, whatever that feminine counterpart is, they both need to go and step into the world together. Let her bring the intuition, let her bring the dream, let her bring the feeling, the nurturing. Let him take direction, take action, walk forward. Trust him. Trust him that he will do that for you, and he needs to trust that she knows what she wants. Give birth. It's time to do this. It's time to do this now. The strong message coming through for this equinox, this Saturday, the 23rd of September. Let's pick some cards and see what cards are coming through. Let's start with She Sirens. I've got lovely new card packs that I bought when I was in England. This is the first card pack I am going to pick from today. I'm going to have a little bit of water first from my beautiful Vesica Pisces bottle. Drinking out of my purple stemmed wine glass because I can. Not following any rules. Okay, so for all those watching this video about the equinox, this Saturday, the 23rd of September 2023, we're talking a lot about birthing, going out into the world. Who are you? Remembering who you are, the heart, the bridge, that sweet spot in the middle. What card wants to come through for us today? Just one card, please. There we go. Okay. Need to put my glasses on for this. B. Ooh. This is just what we've been talking about. B. B. Who are you? Who are you? I don't know this pack very well, so let's see what it says in the book. B. Wow. B. What would it be like to simply be here now in this moment? Not fretting or stressing about what comes next, not making a 5-year plan, simply being here now in this moment. What if now was all there was? Can you allow yourself to turn down the noise, turn off the drama, move your head from side to side, release the tension, smile, and simply be? Be present to exactly what is, knowing that inevitably it will change with every heartbeat and second of time that passes. Your presence in the present is power, your power. Affirmation, my presence is my power. Be, simply be in the now. Be in the now. And when we're in the now, that is that sweet spot. That's that place we were talking about earlier. That's even before the polarities of the masculine and the feminine. That's the mystery. Just sit and be. You don't have to think about what to do next. You just allow. And the more you can bring that stillness into your day-to-day life, the more you open up to the mystery, the more you open up to inspiration to flow through. This is this container, this channel that we become. When we simply be, we open up. We open up wide and we allow inspiration to flow through us without having to chase after it, without having to chase after it. The masculine's chasing the shadow aspect of him. He chases. But like was said earlier, when we listen to the intuition, he can take action on it. But in order to hear the intuition, we need to be still. So this is a strong message of bring more stillness and more being into your day-to-day life. I picked 3 cards all together. This is the second one, which I'm picking from my beautiful Rose Oracle deck. Card number 2 for us, please, today. Equinox coming up. What is the message? There we go. Message here. The Mother Rose, returning to each other, compassion, humanity. Okay, beautiful. Wow, returning to each other. Return. It's about returning to something, the deep mystery. It feels like returning to that deep mystery. Return to that place within you that knows way more than any of us give ourselves credit for. A sacred symbol of the feminine, the rose has been here much longer than us. In times ancient, garlands of roses were placed around statues of mother goddesses in worship of her. We're all her children. She connects and unites us all. If we trace her roots far enough, maybe we'll find our way back to each other. We're living in a time of great division, learning and unlearning. We're together mending the thread of humanity. This is a card of returning to union by facing what's been broken, separated and severed. To realize that we're all human, and while harm has been done, what's needed now is for us to acknowledge what's happened and endeavor to find a way to return to each other. To realize that it's possible for 2 people to have a different experience at the same time, and that both can be true. Mother Rose longs for humanity to drop our defenses and reach out to each other with deep honesty and compassion, to face and untangle the sadness, anger and hurt from our hearts with the help of her grace, to dig our roots deep until we find common ground. Which relationships are difficult for you now? Who has hurt you? How can you soften and express your truth without being defensive? How can you open yourself up to the possibility that two truths can exist at once? This is so in alignment with what we've been talking about, and I've been talking a lot about the internal aspect of remembering and bringing into union the 2 seeming like polar opposites of each other. So the 2 truths, right? So there's 2 truths in us, but they're both as relevant as each other. We don't judge the one side or the other side. They're both hold a place. These polarities, they both hold a place. And it's the same for in our relationships. So also, how can you bring equality into your relationships with people? How can you bring the neutrality and become more of a space holder or an observer to the relationships around you that might feel a little difficult? Because with honor and respect towards that other person, we can begin to dissolve these barriers, not only within our own relationship with ourselves and with our community, but then this then ripples outwards and creates a unity, an Ubuntu. Ubuntu, an African word for coming together as one, bringing communities together as one, because this is what we've been called into, you know. Our world has been separated. Our world has been separated, us and relationships, and even our connection to the earth, like everything. If we look at everything on all different levels, we have been severed. We've been separated from the mother, and this manifests itself in all areas of our life, of how we've been separated. And so we are being called back into union, back into community, back into oneness, back into wholeness. And the way to do that is by holding those two polarities of the masculine and the feminine without judging either. And I feel it's important that we start doing that internally and addressing that internally, and that will then have a ripple effect outwards into our community and into our friendships, relationships, and all that. And certainly about returning to the mother, returning to the earth, return to nature. Return to nature. It's calling us all the time to return to the mother. We've got to return to the mother. Very important. Very, very important for us not to remain disconnected from nature. Like so much of the world is now set up like disconnected from nature. Right, third and final card for all those watching this clip. What are we being called into? What is this overall card here? I want this to be an overall card. What are we being called into? Oh, and it's from this pack, the Earth Warriors. What are you being called into? Let this card speak to you. What are you being called into right now at this time of equinox and going forward? 23 September 2023. There we go. Okay, sip of water. Estanaklehi, turquoise changing woman. Wow. Turquoise changing woman. What are you being called into? Turquoise changing woman. What are you being called into? What are you being called into? I am the turquoise moon mother, and I come to you now with a message of change. This may be change that you want or change that you fear, but either way, I will show you how to use this change to become stronger, wiser, and more empowered to fulfill your divine destiny. Do not fear the changes around you and within you. Trust in the timing of what is happening in your world. Change is upon you. It is essential for your continued growth, and you do not need to fear it. As you allow for this change, remain steadfast in your inner spiritual connection. This gives you courage, trust, peace, and reassurance, and you will find ways to navigate the shift so that your life improves through the process. If you're thinking of making a change, you are encouraged to do so without trying to force it. Be open and do your part to the best of your ability, but also tune into your sense of divine timing, asking the universe for help and allowing life to unfold according to its own rhythm of creative, loving intelligence. You know, the only constant in life is change. What are you being called to change in your life? Because change is upon us. Change is upon you. I feel this strongly in this equinox reading today. Whether it's letting go of an old habit, a pattern of behavior, a thought form, maybe even relationships, people, the way you do work, the way you're showing up in the world, something is being called to change and to elevate you into the next expression of yourself, or into the next higher expression of yourself. An upgrade, I feel, is what we're all going through right now as a collective at this time. Particularly, it feels like it started about I'm going to say about 6 weeks ago. It started quickening, and I feel like we're going through this portal now at this time, and we need to hold on to our hats because we're all being upgraded. And as you're being upgraded, somebody else who perhaps was at a lower level of consciousness can come into your space, and you're going to take the space of somebody who was at a higher level of awareness and consciousness who's moving forward. We're all moving forward now, and this is what this equinox very much feels like for me. And so it's upgrade time, it's letting go, it's making those changes, it's bringing the masculine and the feminine within you into balance. It's reassessing and looking at how you want to show up in your relationships and how you want to show up daily, and putting that into practice and embracing the new you that is now ready to be birthed. I'm going to love you and leave you. I'm going to hope that you have enjoyed this video and you allow all those words to settle and take into consideration what has been shared with you today, and enjoy the equinox on Saturday. If you're doing anything special for that, do enjoy that. I'll be going to a morning hike to watch the sunrise, and then I am going to go to a sweat lodge here in Cape Town. So perhaps I'll share some news around how that was for me. But for now, I'm going to say goodbye. I'm wishing you a beautiful time as we move through this portal together as a collective. Much love. Bye.